Hello, it's the free radicals from Mayhem and Masterplans. We we are back with a new episode, and I'm very excited to be back. We had a bit of scheduling issues. It's like when everybody's traveling and going all over the place, it's difficult. Simon had family over. Andreas always busy. It's the busy New York lifestyle. I was in Leipzig. I was in New York. I was traveling. I was in Düsseldorf as well. So
Do you know where you're now?
back home in
Nice.
good old Borken. So you asked the question just before I hit recording. What were you talking about today? And then there was a bit of silence in the room, and then you said ideal customer profile, ICPs. And with that, I say hello to you, Andreas. Hello to you, Simon.
Hello.
Halo.
All right.
How's life?
Good.
It's cold here in Madrid, so it's reverse weather, I call it. So it's in Germany, I think it's Spanish weather. In Madrid, it's German weather. So
Is it sunny or is it raining?
Huh?
Is it sunny or is it raining?
It is rainy since 4 weeks, I would say. So a pretty long period of bad weather here in Spain. Yeah.
Is that a good thing, though? I mean, I remember
summer,
last
it's a
year
good
you
thing,
guys
yeah.
had like, terrible drought for
Yeah. So,
months.
but it is just south Spain, south of Spain. But it's also rainy there since last year. So, last year was even a flood, and I think this year it's already rained a lot in Spain.
All right. Well, let's hope it trickles down, just enough to actually soak up into the soil and,
yes,
help the countryside a little bit.
Almost fell off my chair. I just did the thing. And so that we before we talk about weather too much, and it's just like people that don't have anything to say to each other talking about the weather. I rather talk about ideal customer profiles. Andreas, what's the reason behind you wanting to talk about ideal customer profiles?
It was just an idea because obviously, I mean, I told you guys in the lead up to this that for my company Forward Momentum, I've been working on a project that kind of as a side effect also revisited ideal customer profiles, kind of renewed some of them.
You were talking about you're in a project, you revisited your ideal customer profile, but let's not get into like why ideal customer profiles are great and why you revisited. I want to hear what is your ideal customer profile. So give me the details on that.
Yeah, that's fair. So what we ended up kind of defining is 3 different customer profiles, really. The work that we do with Forward Momentum targets either very early stage startups or seed stage startups, kind of the second stage, the growth stage of such companies, and is also applicable in a slightly different way for established companies, and those could be kind of typical small and medium businesses, or large corporations for specific divisions or specific products or projects that they work on. And you can't really go and say, well, everybody is our ideal customer, right? Because that's not the definition of ideal. There's the whole notion of, sure, you'd be happy to work with anybody, but you have a bit of a priority list. And defining kind of the characteristics of them and what they look like will help communication strategy, marketing strategy, the way we define these services, because early stage startups need different things from us than an innovation division in a
Like I
large
said,
corporation.
I just want to hear what the ideal customer profiles are, not the why and everything. So,
Fair enough. Ideal customer profile are really motivated early stage startup founders, seed stage, those
Yeah.
who are still really kind of inundated with all kinds of ideas and guidance and thoughts, and who need focus and clarity, and who need a helping hand defining that, and including editing out what they don't need to focus on right now.
And
That's one or
yeah.
are you looking?
No,
What are
no,
you
no.
looking?
I was just wondering, is it something really new, like ideal customer profile? Because I hear it a lot
No,
I heard about it a lot in the last half year, and then the only thing I heard about it when I talk to startups, it's ideal customer profile. But I guess when we started like 3.5 years ago,
Mhm.
that either I don't remember because it's too long ago, but I don't remember anybody talking about ICPs that much. They,
I
they
don't
would
think it
talk
was
about what are
called.
the personas that you're trying to reach and all that kind of stuff, but
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. This is a different word for it. ICP is just a different word for customer persona, or user persona or something like that. I think the difference is that sometimes your customer or your client is not your user. So what we used to talk about when we talked about user personas was very much, so for example, for us here at Hypecast, the person using the software product, the person managing a podcast, the person like the three of us right now recording a podcast. Those are different user personas and different user profiles. And then a very similar approach is this idea of an ideal customer profile. And things like stuff that you write down there is, you again, you dream up a name and a kind of a representative person. So, for example, one of our ideal customer profiles. So, um, just to make this easier internally, one is called the enthusiastic kid, the maturing teenager, and the comfortable young adult, right? Showcasing different stages in a maturity level.
Okay.
And it also gives you kind of a typical role. What are they? So the enthusiastic early stage person is sure, they are a co-founder of some sort. If they are the CEO, CTO, something else, some other title, if they don't have titles yet, is completely besides the point. The comfortable young adult that we defined for kind of the established companies is really more somebody who is either a C-level in a company or an equivalent. This could be a managing director of a division or something, right? Or a director, a senior director, somebody who kind of needs to show success to their superiors, right? And then you talk about what motivates them. What is the reason why they're in this game right now, and how do you talk to them on that level? How do you approach them? Right.
question to you both, and this
Mhm.
is kind of like a provocative question. And I would love to start with you, Simon. Is Don't you think it is more important to have a clear point of view of your company to express this and go out and talk about what you do, so the people that understand what you offer, so they come to you, then trying to identify those different types of ICPs, and you're like dreaming up personalities that might not exist in that
Yeah.
generality outside? What do you think is better? Like, do people focus too much on ICPs and should rather focus on what do they like? Explain what you do in one sentence.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you definitely need some thinking about it, right? Who is your customer? Who will be your customer? Who is your ideal customer? But I think thinking too much about it, I think it keeps you away from providing a service for that client. And I think I think you will also get a sense about who is your ideal customer, trial and erroring, or via trial and error. Yeah. So I think as you go, you will get an idea about, okay, for whom makes our service or product sense, and but you also get an idea about, okay, who's our current yeah, client, or yeah, right, ideal customer,
Mhm.
or maybe the group isn't the ideal customer right now, and you want to migrate slowly your services into another ideal customer group, or how you ever say it, however you say it. Yeah, I think I'm more on the side of get out, talk to people, and you can also look at your current customer base, and then I think there you will see patterns, right? And yeah, that's it. So, but as I think there are a lot of techniques in the business world, or while building an organization, about, so it's not even that, it's also project management. So where you really can put a lot of resource and thoughts into it, and in the end, I think yeah, you just do it.
I think I kind of agree, and yet, so there are two aspects to this. In a growing organization, so again, if we think about Hypecast, the three of us, we have a relatively good sense. We talk a lot. We have a relatively good sense of who is our ideal customer here. How do you talk to them? Where do you find them? How do you approach them? That kind of thing. In a growing organization, or when you work with kind of collaborators, freelancers, perhaps, for example, like we do at Forward Momentum often, you need to be able to help them put this into some kind of easy to grasp tactical thing. You need to help them execute. So, for example, these ideal customer profiles, they help our designers, our communications folks, to define what they're going to
Yeah.
target, how they're going to approach something, what kind of voice perhaps to use, what kinds of events to, when we get speaking requests, where does it make sense for me to go up on stage and talk versus where it doesn't, because we know that we will be in front of our ideal customers, or quite the opposite, right? So it's a crutch, right? If you know all this off the top of your head, or you're in a state where you're just very flexibly and you're just kind of figuring it out at the very beginning, then writing this down might not be necessary. But writing anything down, any idea, writing it down always helps. It always helps to clarify your thoughts. It always helps to hold yourself accountable, right? We do this sometimes with other ideas when we talk about and say, oh, let's I don't know, sunset the chatter. Let's do something else. We still
Yeah.
write down what we expect to happen, and then we can go back half a year later and say, okay, did this actually happen or not, and why not, or why did it?
I think you made a very good point. On the topic of why do you have the ICP? It's not that it helps your sales team to
Yeah.
target the right audience. It's more like your understanding to design the thing. So it's an internal view rather than
Yes.
it's something where who do I need to reach out to.
Mhm.
That's kind of interesting. That it's more like a tool to help you understand your own things. But
Mhm.
I'm and that's why I'm like never a big fan of, or I'm not a big fan of those like I have not I've not read any of those like startup books. I just
Good.
haven't. I haven't read any, like I don't read any of the self-help books where it's like
Mhm.
some people might say this is ignorant, but then in most cases, or when we are part of an accelerator program or anything, it's like, or do you want to like join this like founders like get together and talk about how you can like improve your startup? And what I've experienced is the in the end, it's like, yes, it's very similar what we do, but then the most help I've gotten out of people that are already running a business or that can help me with the very specific thing that I'm looking for. Just
Mhm.
getting in touch with another startup and saying like, so what are you experiencing? Yeah, we're doing this, we're doing this. And then you realize, yeah, we're doing it a different way. But then you realize that there's so many variables that is so different
Yeah.
that it doesn't make sense to learn from that, because you're always abstracting it to a level of like generality where it then doesn't apply to you anymore. And then you have to still put in the work. So that's why I'm never a fan of those books. That's why I always felt like when I studied economics, that I did also a trainee program where I was like, okay, there's one side of like the theory that I learned in university, and they always talk about like, yeah, we're operating in a perfect market, and then all those theories make sense. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but we don't have a perfect market, so reality is very, very different from that. So that's why I'm never a big fan of all those kind of like, let's have a framework, let's have this in place, let's have all those like. And that in the end, and that's that's my hot take on it. That's why when we try to control everything with an Excel sheet and turn everything very bureaucratic, because we think we have it all written down, we have it all on paper, and that gives us clarity, and that gives us the security of really executing it. And then people get confused and wonder, why is it not working? I have done all my work, and then the last thing you forgot is you have to go out, you have to like get in, like get into the trenches, and then you have to make the call, you have to write the email, you have to reach out, you have to attend an event. So it becomes really like the stupid stupid sales process. And I always like, we all know Daniel, Daniel Niehofer, shout out to him. I talked to him very early, before like a year before we started the company, and the
Mhm.
main thing he told me, and that's one of the main advices that I give out, because it's very universal, and it works for everybody. If you have an idea, write it down on a single piece of paper, one page, and go to customers and say like, even at a 90% markdown, would you buy this product? Sign here now. That is
Mhm.
the only thing you need to validate if your business is going somewhere or not.
Yeah.
And many people start way too late doing that. Many people invest too much on the internal view of like,
Mhm.
we need to build a great product, we need to have this, we need to come up with a very sophisticated marketing campaign and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it's just like, go out, talk to as many people that you think should be your customers, and then worry about finding the ICP or finding your mission, vision, whatever,
Right.
maybe a year or two in.
And that's absolutely true. I like Daniel. He's a smart cookie. I like working with him. So you're absolutely right. So this idea of not over indexing on tactics, be it spreadsheet pushing, be it
Yeah.
writing down ICPs, be it anything else that is really a tactical step internally. Um, that if you don't have a clear, simple strategy, right? This one line or one sentence strategy of what it is you do, this North Star of why do you exist, what it is you're trying to achieve, you got to have that. And if you can't articulate that, then some call it an elevator pitch. Then you got to practice it. Then you got to work on that. Then you got to perhaps engage outside help, right?
But I think like, especially like when you come like, you talk about the North Star, right? Like
Mhm.
that North Star, what is it? North Star momentum? Is that the word that you use at forward momentum? Is it
Yes.
that?
So we have two strategy packages. North Star Momentum is kind of the signature package, and then we have a North Star Rising, which is a slightly scaled down version.
Okay, but
Huh.
the idea of the North Star is kind
Yes.
of like you, and that is also another thing, that when you have your general idea of where you want to go, like your North Star, right? Like that
Mhm.
the promised land.
Mhm.
whatever they talk about, and it's all this time. It's like in the Bible, like you're
Mhm.
like the star that you're following to get to where you want to get. Right?
Mhm.
It's that is something that is really helpful. Again, like because you will deviate somewhere on the way. You will have to take U-turns. You have to like get off the beaten path. You have to do so many things. But if you have that North Star in mind, and that is something, and now like I'm not a big fan of like all this like yoga babble. But then
What is yoga battle?
yoga babble, what that's Scott
Don't
Galloway.
knock yoga. I like yoga. Come on.
Yoga babble is like
A
the
babble.
babble, like the whatever like what how would you define it? Like the nonsense that people say like I want to change the world with my
I
product,
Okay,
whatever, that
okay,
kind of
okay,
stuff, like
okay.
where you say nonsense stuff to make it sound like very important and impactful. But
you know,
visualizing, like what is it called, visualization,
yes.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's very,
powerful.
that's powerful. It's very like spiritual, and it sounds very like, yeah, like yoga babble, but visualization is something that has helped me a lot, like,
Mhm.
because it helps you to manifest your idea, and that
Yeah.
kinda results into, who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? And that, like, because that's why I like the North Star,
Mhm.
metaphor, and then building your vision on that, like, your point of view, and that helps you to clarify on where needs my product to be, like, it really kinda trickles down, and then you don't have to worry about all those smaller things anymore. If you have that long-term vision in mind, then you can just focus on the tactics and the day to day, because you have your North Star setup, and you don't have to do like, let's do strategy. Like, forget strategy. Have a clear vision of where you want to go. Like,
That
in
is your
general.
strategy. That's
Yeah.
my whole point.
Yeah.
That's what I keep pounding into people, right? That is your strategy. That North Star, the one-liner, one sentence, one pager if you must, that is your strategy.
Yeah.
And it is important to understand that the overall strategy will spawn other strategies, right? So there's this cascade of things that need to happen. You have this North Star, you have this overarching strategy, but then, of course, in order to do that, you need to have a product. Okay, so you need a product strategy, and then you need tactics to actually execute on the product side. And in order to explain to people what this product does, you also need to have a marketing strategy and steps to execute and all of that. And that's totally logical and normal. And it's not that one is replacing the other, but on top of it all, or if you want the opposite view, the foundation of it all is that kind of North Star strategy. I think one thing that you kind of touched on, Max, I really like, which is this idea that, yeah, sometimes you have to take a U-turn, or you have to backstep a little bit, or I don't know, there's a tree in the middle of the road and you have to make a decision. Do I go around on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side? And ultimately, either one side might be a little bumpier than the
Or,
other, but it doesn't.
or in my opinion, chop down the tree.
Or maybe
Yeah.
that. Or maybe that. Precisely. And just knowing that your promised land, your North Star, guides you to the other side of that tree, however you get around or through it,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. And that is what unblocks everything. That is what helped us at Hypecast early on, right? You guys, I remember
Yeah.
this. There were times when early on, you were just pulled into so many different directions. And going through these exercises and doing this just
Yeah.
helped us clear our minds and pull in one direction. And even when we revisited that 2 years later, it still largely was the same. Yeah, we optimized, we polished it a little bit. We also knew what worked and what didn't in terms of tactics and execution. But yeah, I think this
Yeah.
is fun.
I want to
Anyway,
I want to go into the personal space, because we have like about like 5 to 10 minutes left. Simon, we're like, where's your personal North Star?
Huh. So I had the same question in mind. So I have a personal North Star.
there you go.
And So when I was in my master, or while I did my master study, I was in some kind of class, entrepreneurship class, or in back then in the university, and there was an okay mentor. He was okay. He wasn't he wasn't a startup dude. I think he he retired. I think after I did class because he was just old enough. But he was. I think he was quite a nice guy. And one of the things he did with us in that class was writing down a North Star, putting it in an envelope, close the envelope, and then the idea was open it up 5 years, 10 years later. Sadly, I lost that envelope, but because I want to check it now, 10 years later, what became true
You
and
could
what
have,
not.
like, as you were in information technology studies, you could have just written it down on a computer or in the cloud. But just an idea for
On X. Yeah.
somewhere, but like not on paper, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah. But I did it again.
that's German ISP study.
Last summer, I did it again. I wrote down a North Star. I have it here in my envelope, not closed, so I can take it out and and so I think it's so I'm also believe in that kind of
Would
visualization
you
and
share it with us?
no.
Okay.
No,
Do you
but
look at it every now and then? So you said you have it
yes,
here, and
yes.
so
Yeah.
do you remind yourself every now and then?
Yeah.
Nice.
But
Very cool.
I think
May I ask why you don't want to share it? Because you're afraid that it might not manifest, or because like what is the reason? Just to understand, what is the reason?
just because it's I think it's too personal, I would say.
Okay.
Totally fair.
Uh,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, it's not that personal. but I will keep it with me.
Yeah.
No. I just wanted to understand what is the reason for that.
Yeah.
Because
But the thing is, I read it just a few weeks ago again, and I thought, okay, maybe
please speak to the microphone.
sorry. I just read it a few weeks ago again, and there I thought maybe the North Star was not big enough because some things fulfilled already. So, or I recognized, okay, it's just the scale. So some kind of already fulfilled, but it's more or less the scale. How you know what I mean. So I want to have this and that, and I have it already, but I want more of
Did
that. Maybe it's more
did
like
you
that.
then take out a pen and kind of scratch it out and write the bigger North Star on there, or not yet?
Yeah, not yet, but I thought maybe, how yeah, can I write another North Star, which is, which
Very
where I
cool.
think big, right? Or is it maybe more concrete, so more explicit? So I want to be as rich as, or I want to have 10 millions on my bank account when I'm
Um, I don't think
31.
I think it's what you make of it, right? It's as concrete or loose as you
Yeah.
want, but I think I like or it's probably like it probably should be as concrete as possible, but it can be concrete on an abstract level, right? Like I told you, and I'm happy to share it with you what I said, like at least in the business context, and that kind of like relate. And while I realized that my hobbies are now work too, I just like it's I said I wanna be the Jimmy Iovine of corporate podcasting and business podcasting. So that's my North Star. Um, some people might laugh at this and think this is a stupid idea. I share it. I do that a lot because it kind of like holds me to it. If I share it with as many people, they kind of like you know kind of like
I
name it down on it. So that's why I do it.
I think that's totally fair, and I totally think it's also fair to have it be aspirational. A North Star does not need to be an annual goal. That is again the cascade of overarching strategy or overarching North Star and individual steps to
Yeah.
manifest that. I think if your North Star, Simon, I would like for the record and for our audience, I do not believe that your North Star is to have 10 million in your bank account. I
No,
do
no.
believe that you would not object to that if that were to happen, but I don't think that's your actual goal in life. I
Yeah.
think
No, but
you
I
look at
think what he
life a
meant
little
is
bit
like
differently.
can be different things, like on
No, exactly.
Yeah.
maybe like financial, personal
Exactly.
hobbies, and all that kind of stuff. But to, I think to me a North Star, and that's why it's a star. It to like again to me personally, it's something that for me personally should never be where I should never be able to reach, because when
Mhm.
I'm able to reach it, it's not big enough that I didn't
Mhm.
dream big enough. And if what happens if I achieve it, right? Then I'm complacent, then I'm happy and satisfied, and I'm done. Because if I dream
And
too
then you
small,
have
then
a
I
new
reach my
North
goal,
Star.
and then I'm kind of done. And then that's when people start get lazy, and that's, like I said, in my personal opinion, and I'm a person that just is very.
I think I I think that's totally fair. I've never actually written down my own North Star, but when asked what motivates me and why I do things that I do, I keep coming back to I want to have and leave a positive impact on people. That is what motivated me when I was working as a photojournalist, because I wanted to inform people and I wanted to be able to show them things that they were not able to see with their own eyes because they couldn't be there, right? I wanted to give them the opportunity to make up their minds, see either exciting things that they otherwise couldn't have seen, or perhaps disturbing things that they needed to understand and see and make up their minds about if they wanted, I don't know, their politics to support that kind of thing, or whatever it might have been. Um, it's still the same thing that motivates me today. The work that I do with Forward Momentum, that I do with Hypecast, that I do with another company that I'm about to spin up, is it all comes back down to I want to leave a lasting positive mark on people. I want to support them to either be the best that they can be. I want to help them achieve goals of their own. And yeah, of course, I want to be successful along the way. I do want to, earn good money along the way and all of that. But that's not the motivator. That's not the
So,
North Star,
but
right?
is that the same thing, the thing that motivates you and your North Star? Because what motivates you is like the thing that you need to get to where you want to get, right? It's kind of like the fuel, but in my head, the North Star is the finish line, and the motivation is the fuel that drives me to get to that goal.
That's fair. Like I said,
Like I
I've
said,
never
but
actually taken the time to write it down,
because
right?
like what like so to me, like when you leave the planet, then you want to
Mhm.
kind of make yourself, um how do you call it, like um
Unforgettable.
what is the word? Yeah, what is the word I'm looking
I
for?
don't know what you're trying to say. What's in your
Unsterblich.
head? Yeah, uh, um, that you basically live eternally
Immortal.
in
Thank you.
people's
Immortal.
immortal. Yes,
You want to immortalize yourself
yes,
so that people after, like when they think of you, they think positively, because you're like yours is like a motivation that happens every day. So it's kind of like a thing that you do that motivates you. But it's interesting because I think it can vary. So Simon has more like, he has in my head, Simon has probably very concrete things in his head. Andreas is something like where he looks at an external perspective, and says like, okay, and that can happen today, and it will continue, so that maybe you collect a number of people that all look back on the relations that they have with you and said like, that was, you left positive impact. Where
correct.
like, I'm a person that is very driven and motivated, like looking at myself. So I'm like, that's what I want to achieve for myself, and it's not like, so everything I do is not externally motivated. I don't look very much for like external validation, and so not like none of what I do is externally motivated. It's mainly internally motivated.
But the same is true for me. I mean, I want to leave a positive, lasting impact on people.
But I can
I
leave. But
suppose
for example,
also
I
so
can leave the
that
world where nobody thinks good of me.
yeah, but then what did you achieve?
Well, like I said, for myself, like like for example, I'm not like Elon Musk, for example. Is it
Mm,
in my opinion is a terrible person. I don't mean that like that everybody should hate me. That's not my goal. Like I said, but if in my head, like I gave the example yesterday, if I'm on stage, for example, in front of 90,000 people, there's
mhm,
like if you're and that's why I will never be that person. But there's people on stage like entertainers that can do the greatest show of their life, but they will always look at like, was I really good enough? Did I do a great job? I know a lot of those people
mhm,
that are very, very much in doubt with themselves. Like especially like if you artists have that a lot. I could be in front of 90,000 people and tell jokes that I think are funny and nobody laughs. I still had a good time. Leave the stage like I don't care what anybody thinks because if I thought it was funny, I'm fine with it. That's a very different perspective. That's why I will probably never be on stage because if you're an entertainer, you need an audience for that. That's why I'm probably in business and can do that. But like I said, it always gives a negative touch with it, which I don't think it should have because it's not my goal to like be unliked and stuff like that. But I don't need external validation. But like for you, you say like you want to leave a lasting impact, but is that for
It ultimately is for myself. Ultimately is internal, right?
okay,
But
because
uh,
you feel better or what is it?
yeah, yeah, because that's what I want, right?
Okay, yeah.
So yeah. But now that it has kind of gone down into deep self-analyzing psychology here,
Yeah.
and we're way over time too.
Yes, we are. But that was fun. But I like
It
that.
was.
And I think that's what kind of what it shows as well that it can be very different for everybody. Like we said, that's what I like about the stuff we did with you. It's very it's very individual for different companies because you identify what motivates you, what drives you, what are kind of like your aspiration, and then talking about it helps you to kind of like make that overlap so that you
Mhm,
know all the different ideas we still in the end when we look at the company we can satisfy our personal needs while driving the company forward. And I think
mhm.
that is like that's why it's a great framework that gives you the space for all those different individual things that come with it instead of saying like, hey, we have to all go and do this. And we
Absolutely
you
true.
know and that's what I like about it. But um last words are yours, Simon and Andreas, whatever you want to share, and then please finish off with your last song that you listened to this week.
Go ahead, Andreas.
Well,
I don't have any last words. I just have
my
the last.
last words are I'm really happy with so we redid our website and the tagline on top is ordinary companies follow and extraordinary companies lead. And I really like that. Um, I'm not even sure where we came up with it, but or who did specifically, but I'm quite happy with that. So those are my last words. The last song. No, first your last words, Simon, and then we do the
Yeah.
songs.
So I don't have any specific last words, but I want to mention that the website you're talking about is forwardmomentum.llc, right?
Yes, correct. We
All
should
right.
link to our websites. Actually, clickable links in these podcasts.
Yeah.
Hypecast.one.
Enough with the advertisement for the companies that you work for and the products that you sell. Nobody wants to get like we mentioned Hypecast a million times in this episode. We mentioned
Yes,
Forward Momentum a million times. I'm already tired of it. I'm not gonna buy that product.
I. Thank you, thank you. I was also annoyed that last episode we didn't actually have clickable links for the songs. We should have that too. I'm
For the
talking about
song.
generally, product improvement here, not advertising.
Yes. But then, we want people to, do something yourself. Get out there, DIY. We're a DIY
Just
podcast.
do it.
Right.
Just
because
do it.
that's what people do.
Don't be lazy. Do something with your life. Simon, last song you listened to?
Yeah. So like last week, super simple songs. If you're happy and you know it.
Nice.
I
it's
don't know. Like
it is.
like, can you do the three-peat, and we have the say, like we have it next week? Can you do your personal three-peat? I'm wondering. I'm interested. I listened to again, what's again? Queens of the Stone Age. Think You Ain't Worth a Dollar, but I Feel Like a Millionaire, from their album Songs for the Deaf.
Nice. I listened to The Answer by Bad Religion.
Oh, yes. Awesome. Great. We're going to link it in the show notes. Maybe clickable, maybe not. We're going to see. uh, and that's it. That's the show for this week. What a fun ride. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.